watching Teach Me AI with host Nick Niehaus.
Welcome to Teach Me AI, the show where my friends teach me how to use their favorite AI tools and strategies, and you get to learn along with me. I'm your host, Nick Niehaus, and on today's episode, we're talking to serial entrepreneur Ethan King, who has been using AI and automation for well over a decade successfully in his business. He's got an incredible process he's going to be showing you here today on how you can generate a prolific amount of content that sounds just like you wrote it using AI. You're definitely going to want to see this conversation, so stick around. All right, Ethan, well, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, it's great to be here, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Looking forward to this. So let's get into it. What are you going to be teaching me about AI today?
Well, one of the most fundamental things that people need to know about using AI is that if you use it right out of the box, yes, it's awesome, but you don't want to sound like generic AI because we've all probably seen those LinkedIn posts where it's like perfect title case and emojis, and you can just tell, oh man, this person used ChatGPT to write this, and It's an immediate turnoff. So I'm going to teach you today how to customize your AI to sound like you, to think like you, to have a unique voice so that you can still automate and streamline and speed up your writing process, but it sounds like what you would say anyway. And I'm going to show you how to get past the AI content checkers with 100% human sounding accuracy.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is going to be good then. So let me start here. We're starting with ChatGPT, right? Because I think most people have at least tried ChatGPT at some point. So that's good. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's funny because ChatGPT has become kind of synonymous with AI, the general public, which is good for them, right? But yeah, we'll start with that. I do think that ChatGPT is the Swiss Army knife and in general is the best overall AI tool out there right now that has multiple features that it's good at. There are some other platforms that are good at specific things, but all around ChatGPT I think is the go-to right now as we're recording this in February 2025. It's important to date stamp these things because AI changes so quickly, right?
I know. Well, like literally as we're recording this, I think the new Grok comes out tonight. So, So it's like, who knows, right? A week from now it might be different, but I agree. I do think, ChatGPT obviously I think is the one most people are familiar with. So that's good to hear that it's useful in so many cases.
So ChatGPT right out of the box is amazing. You have the power of artificial intelligence combined with the collective knowledge of all history, humanity, and the internet. When you synthesize those together, you get outstanding results, which is why AI has been a buzzword for the past couple of years since ChatGPT was released in November of 2022. But as I said before, if you use it just right out of the box, it sounds very generic. So where the real power comes in is when you combine ChatGPT with your writing and speaking style, your values, your backgrounds, your interests, and your actual stories and experiences. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. Let's start. I like to do a bit of a cooking show demonstration. So I'm going to start with the end result, and then we'll go up from there.
Sure.
So I'd like to go to journalist query services like quoted.com and SourceBottle. And I have a training I'll share with you that covers all of these in detail. Nice. But SourceBottle is one website where journalists are looking to publish articles on different topics. So for example, you can see here, you have business, finance, environment, general, whatever your company specializes in or whatever your realm of expertise, you'll find it here. So for example, I would click on technology and then let's choose our country. We're not in Australia, so I'm going to go to United States and look at some of the articles that journalists want to write about. So we can see here, experts, what you need to know about Social Security. No, I'm not an expert in fintech. Let me keep going through. The role of AI in tech and enhancing luxury travel. No, it's getting close. Not really my thing. I'm doing this real time. So here's one, from startup to success, entrepreneurial journey solved. So let's click on that. And the query says, startup founders and business leaders, have you disrupted an industry, raised significant funding, or built a business from the ground up? We want your insights. So that applies to me because I actually have been an entrepreneur for 25 years and I can share my story. So what I'm going to do is highlight this query, copy it, jump over to my ChatGPT, And I've created a custom GPT. I call it EK's Marketing Genie, where I can just paste in a query. So I paste it in here. And then I need to actually tell it my story, because if I don't give it my actual experiences, then of course ChatGPT will just make up things to fill in the blanks. And that's hallucination, and that is fraudulent, and that is bad, right? So what I like to do is, if I can, I'll use my microphone to talk. Let's see if it'll let me do it while I'm recording this, because I found that talking is faster than typing. So, all right. So, my story, my entrepreneurial story, I actually started a company when I was in college. It started as a school project where I was creating fraternity and sorority gear for people on my campus, because I was in a fraternity and I was an art major. So we started this school project called Stuff for Greeks, and it ended up becoming a real company. And still today, it is one of the top players in e-commerce for Greek fraternity and sorority gear. And I started with my girlfriend in college with just $700. We literally scraped it together. I put in $350, she put in $350, and then we launched the website, and it's still going today. And now she's my wife of 22 years. We have 2 amazing kids. So it's been an awesome journey. And along the way, growing this company, we have of course hit challenges and roadblocks, because that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. And at one point, this was back in around 2011, our backs were against the wall. We were fighting this nasty legal battle with one of our former business partners, and we had to lay off a bunch of staff, or when people quit, we didn't have money to hire them back. So I had to figure out how to continue the marketing of our business without hiring people, because we just didn't have the money. So that's when I learned marketing automation, and I learned how to automate all of our emails going out. And then I learned how to automate our social media. And then I just went automation crazy and had this automation first mindset. And then when the AI tools came out, we layered those on top of our automations to grow our business even faster. And by the time that we looked back, we had grown, the revenue of our business had doubled. And we did it with half the staff that we had when we went into this challenge.
Wow. And
so a lot of that we attribute to AI and automation. All right, so I'll stop there. Thing about it. So now you see my screen, captured all of that, but it's very messy. It doesn't matter. I'll take out that last point where I said I'll stop there. But ChatGPT will clean that up. So let's hit go and let's see what happens. And what it's doing right now is it is writing a pitch to the journalist. And the subject of this pitch says, from $700 to multi-million-dollar success, my entrepreneurial journey. Hi, journalist. I saw your request for startup founders who disrupted an industry, raised significant funding. I started my first business, Stuff for Greeks, as a college project with just $700 scraped together between me and my girlfriend, now wife. So it tells the whole story. It even gives some background information that it has about me in my custom instructions, which I'm going to show you how to do. But then it has this pitch, and all I have to do is simply copy this pitch, go back over to SourceBottle, and I can log in and submit it right here. I do have an account, and I have been published many, many times. This is just free PR. This is a free website. You just hit submit right here. And then if the reporter is interested, then they'll reach back out to you. Now, I probably get published about 1/3 of the time, but it doesn't matter whether the journalist decides to publish me or not. You know why? Because if a journalist wants to write about this, that means that people in the world are interested in this subject matter. Therefore, that's a clue that I should probably publish content around this particular topic, right? So what I'm going to do is write the article anyway. So I'll tell ChatGPT, keep going. And I've programmed this custom GPT to go ahead and write the full article. So here it is.
Wow. From
$700 to a multi-million-dollar business, the power of perseverance, automation, and AI. Isn't that a great title? I just want to put in the disclaimer that I could write this, and if I did write it, I would write it like this. It would sound like me, but I just saved a bunch of time. So this is not the generic ChatGPT out of the box. Like if you put the same thing into your ChatGPT, it won't sound the same, right? So here it gives me the whole article, and then I could say keep going. Now it's writing a blog post from my website. How I turned a $700 college project into a thriving business. And it's a different format. It's a different tone of voice for my blog. But it's the same subject matter, right? So most people assume that starting a successful business requires a massive investment, big name connections, or genius level breakthrough. But when I started Stuff for Greeks, all I had was $700, an art degree in progress, and a gut feeling that Greek apparel could be better. Man, that's good. So then it breaks down bullet points. Then I'll say continue. And this particular GPT has 16 different steps that it will carry out.
Oh, wow.
Going from long form content like articles to video content to short form content like your tweets and so forth. So we have long form written content, short form written content, and then we have long form video content that this will generate scripts for. And then short form, we take that long form video content and chop it up using tools like Opus Clip and get short form videos. So it'll just keep going and going and going. So this right now is writing an article for medium.com. All right. So I'm going to show you all. This is just a demonstration, and I have a full training on how to build a custom GPT like this. But I'm also going to show you guys right now the fundamental part of it.
Nice.
Before I jump into it, any questions so far from you, Nick?
Well, so I want to just kind of clarify the keep going, because I know you're just sort of saying keep going, but like we're going to see that's based on the fact that there's steps you're telling it to take, right? Like I can't just tell ChatGPT to keep going and it's going to know to go in those different directions, right?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. These are that keep going is based on my specific custom instructions on the back end of my custom GPT that I built, where I have 16 different steps, and it stops at each step and is asking me if I want any revisions, and so I say no, keep going. And so it's going to step 2 and then to step 3 and then to step 4.
Got it. Okay. Very cool.
All right. So the fundamental part of this, and everyone, you need to do this regardless of whether you want to build a marketing genie GPT like I have or not. You need to train ChatGPT on your writing and speaking style. So I want you to go to ChatGPT and use this prompt. I'm going to feed you some excerpts from my writing and speaking that I want you to analyze my writing and speaking style. Then I want you to craft a prompt for my custom instructions that will help you speak in my voice. Do you understand? And then ChatGPT will say something like, yes, I understand. You provide me the excerpts, and based on that, I'll analyze your style. I like to ask ChatGPT and confirm that it understands from time to time, just to make sure we're on the same page. And so at this point, I'll go out and grab examples of anything that I've written. It doesn't matter what it is. It's more so about my style. So it could be a Facebook post that I wrote about my family vacation. It could be an article that I wrote on LinkedIn. It could be my book that I wrote. It could be transcripts from a podcast that I appeared on. But anything that captures my voice, and it needs to be text-based right now, I need to get that text into ChatGPT to give it lots of samples. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In worst case scenario, if you don't have a lot of samples of you talking, you can just turn on your microphone and just talk about something. Talk about your life story. Talk about what you ate for lunch every day this week, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's all about capturing how you speak. It's not necessarily the content of what you're speaking about.
Okay.
Is there a particular exercise?
Let me ask this, like, is there a certain amount? Like, is there a point where I've given it too many examples? I mean, I've definitely got lots of recordings of myself speaking, that's for sure.
Oh, that's good. No, I don't think there's too much. There is too little, because if you give not enough information, then ChatGPT will fill in the gaps with what it thinks. Okay. And that may or may not be accurate. So the more examples you can provide, the better.
Cool. Got it.
Okay. So when I fed it my examples, it came back with this. It said, your writing and speaking style, as gleaned from the provided excerpts, is engaging and motivational and highly relatable. You have a knack for storytelling and using personal anecdotes to illustrate broader points about entrepreneurship, resilience, and personal growth. As you can see, it is very flattering, and I love it. ChatGPT just makes you feel good, right?
Right.
That's
awesome.
But it gave me these 3 paragraphs of a description because I gave it lots of content.
Right. Okay.
And then what I did in the next prompt, I said, write the 1,500 character custom instructions for ChatGPT to emulate my speaking style. Begin with respond in my voice. So I'm telling ChatGPT to write instructions for ChatGPT. And then it's going to give me an output. I copy that output to my clipboard. And here's a pro tip. You can create a Google Doc with different sets of these custom instructions. Let's say, for example, if you're a marketing agency and you need to communicate in different brand voices for your clients or different people on your team, you may want different sets of custom instructions. But for right now, as you're setting this up for yourself, just copy it to your clipboard and then go to your profile in ChatGPT. You click on your picture and then you click on Customize ChatGPT. And then in the box where it says what traits should ChatGPT have, that's where you're going to paste the output. And so that will start with respond to my voice based on this description. And then you can add in things. You see that ChatGPT gives you little words that you can throw in there like chatty or witty or straight shooting. So if there are some aspirational parts of your voice that you want to throw in there, like for example, I wanted to sound more witty, so I threw that word witty in there, and that will affect your output as well.
Okay.
And then the next thing you want to do is teach ChatGPT about you and about your business. So as long as you have the pro version, it can search the internet. So go back into your chat and use this prompt. Read the website blank.com and provide a description of the business. And ChatGPT will go out and scour your website and come with a description. And you can have fun with this, and you could say, describe the business using Gen Z slang, or sing it like the song Sweet Home Alabama. You can have fun with the output because ChatGPT can think, act, or speak like any person, any character living or dead.
Wow.
So for example, I had it read the website Zeus'sCloset.com, which is one of my businesses. And it came back with this description. Zeus's Closet is a specialty embroidery shop that offers custom designed apparel, branding, and promotional products, known as a tattoo shop for your clothes. So it read my whole website, came back with this description that honestly sounds better than the description that I have written on my website. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
And then I go back into my custom instructions in ChatGPT, and there's another box there that says anything else ChatGPT should know about you. And that's where you tell it everything about yourself. So I put in the description of my business. I tell it my name is Ethan King. I'm the CEO of Zeus's Closet and Stuff for Greeks, and my company does this. These are our unique value propositions, our mission, our core values. Here are some of my personal interests. Here are some of my personal goals in life. I really tell ChatGPT everything about me, because the bigger picture that it understands about you, then the more context it has to fill in the blanks when it comes to writing content for you. And it makes it sound more personalized for you. So I really go all in with the description there. And then you want to make sure that it's enabled for all of your new chats. So now you should have both of these boxes filled out. What traits should ChatGPT have? That's your writing style. And then anything else ChatGPT should know about you should be filled out in that bottom box. And once you have that set up, then we can really go crazy with creating content. And I'll show you some tricks on finding things that people are interested in talking about. But before I jump into that, do you have any questions so far, Nick?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I guess, so what this is doing is this is sort of teaching your version of ChatGPT, like in general, how to behave, right? So does this mean that, I know I can see the box for enable for new chats. Does that mean like every time I have a new chat, it's gonna come in with all this information in every single chat? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. This feature affects your ChatGPT output globally. So every chat that you do from this point forward, as long as you have that turned on, the content that you have in these two boxes will influence the output. It's additional context in addition to whatever you have in your prompt. Okay.
So is this, and one more follow up, is this something like, let's say I'm new and I'm just starting out using ChatGPT for the first time. Mm-hmm. Do you think somebody should like immediately fill all this in, or is this like, hey, do a couple chats, get used to the tool first, and then you'll better understand how to use this part, or is this like day one, just go ahead and fill it out? You think?
I think whenever you are about to use ChatGPT to produce any type of content for you, you need to do this step first.
Got it.
If you're just using ChatGPT for the search features or research or like a glorified search engine, then you don't need to do this. But if you're having it do anything for you, then having your custom instructions filled out and turned on will tailor the output to suit you.
Perfect. Cool.
Okay. So let's talk about how to create your own AI publicist and dominate media coverage using ChatGPT. All right, so I had had the opportunity to interview Gary Vee, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Gary Vee, huge influencer in the marketing space. And this interview was back in 2021, so this was pre-ChatGPT. And of course, Gary Vee, he's like, man, if you're not posting on TikTok 6 times a day and on Instagram 8 times a day, then your business is going to fail. And he's just so hyped up and high energy, but it can feel a little overwhelming at times, right? I asked Gary Vee, I said, Gary, we're small business owners here. There were about 8,000 small business owners in the audience of this call. And I said, we're small business owners. What do you say to someone who says, I just don't have time to publish, to be on social media all day like this? You know what Gary's answer was? Stop prioritizing dumb shit. That was literally his entire answer. Now, I was looking for a little bit of a more tactical approach, but I didn't get that from Gary. So I set out to build it on my own. And this is the flow chart that I came up with. If you do it in this order, I believe, and this has worked for me, starting with the long form written content and going all the way through this process into spitting out your short form video content, that you can accomplish all of this in just 15 minutes a day, and you can be everywhere, every day, all at once, and achieve omnipresence on social media without sucking up your time. First, let's start with content that your market actually cares about. Now, here's a prompt. I won't go through this here. You can take a screenshot if you want, but you can use ChatGPT to actually create a matrix of frustrations, desires, and fears that your audience has when it comes to your product or service by using this prompt right here. And it will literally create a grid for you. And then you could just pick one of these pieces of content and just go all in. Or you could just pick one of these topics and just go all in creating content about that particular topic. So for example, one frustration that my customers experience when it comes to getting logo apparel made for their businesses is they're frustrated because most companies require high order minimums that don't fit small scale needs. Well, my company, we address that because at Zeus's Closet, we don't have any minimums. Like, we'll do just one piece. We can do 5 pieces because we want to serve small businesses. So I could produce a bunch of content, articles, videos, social media about that particular thing. The other thing that we can do is use journalist query services. So, for example, there used to be this company called Haro. It was probably the most well-known service. Haro stood for Help a Reporter Out. And I think this was like the OG of journalist query services. So you sign up for this free account and you choose topics where you have expertise or interest, and journalists are looking to write articles. It's like a dating service for journalists and subject matter experts. So, for example, here's one where the journalist wanted to write about. She said she was seeking business owners and agencies who have successfully scaled using AI. And she's launching a blog for it, and that fits my time. I mean, that fits my expertise. So I pitched it. So I took that. So this is what's on the back end of that GPT I showed you. The prompt is write a pitch for this Haro query for me in my voice, and then I pasted it there, and then I provided real world experiences, my own personal experiences, anecdotes, which are short stories. About my expertise here, how we've actually addressed and contributed to this subject matter. That is very, very important because otherwise ChatGPT will make things up, okay?
Right.
And then, so here's the example I used for that when I said, we use AI to help with written video and social media content so we can maintain a daily presence on all networks with just 15 minutes of work per day. We just published the book ChatGPT to Double Your Business in 90 Days, and we've also created custom GPTs for companies to help with personalized business growth strategies and implementation. So that's all the context I gave it for this particular article, and it wrote the pitch for me. Because remember, it's also putting in what's in my custom instructions. It's using that as additional context for every prompt.
Okay.
So now it's giving my whole history. Hey, I'm Ethan King, co-founder of Zeus's Closet and Stuff for Greeks, and AI has become a cornerstone in how we operate and scale our businesses. As an entrepreneur deeply invested in personal growth and productivity, I've leveraged AI to streamline operations. So this is how I would write it anyway, because I trained it on my voice and I trained it on my background. And then I submitted the pitch. Now, as you can see here with my Haro background, I actually got accepted. If you look over there on the right side of the screen, more than half of the pitches that I made got accepted and I got published, which is a really good rate. But sadly, Haro went away at the end of 2024.
I used to use it too. Yeah, I didn't know it was gone.
What a sad day. What a sad day. But you know what? For your listeners and viewers, I have great news because I have 4 new sources that are just as good or better than Haro in some cases. So you definitely want to take a screenshot of this. We have quoted.com, featured.com, presspulse.ai, and sourcebottle.com that essentially work the same way as Haro. So for example, quoted.com, I did a talk to some chiropractors a couple of weeks ago. So I showed them this example. I just searched the term chiro and look at all of the queries that came up where people are looking for chiropractors to write. This is free PR for whatever your industry is, whatever your expertise is. This is the new form of marketing that we all need to do because people are starting to use search engines less and less, and people are starting to turn to AI more often. And AI gets its resource, it goes out to the internet and is looking for a bunch of different sources. So you want to appear as an authority, not just on your own website, but you want to appear as an authority across multiple websites and have content out there. So this is one way to do it.
Very cool.
So this was one example of a query where someone was looking for chiropractors to provide content, doctors, mental health professionals. So you see, this can apply to so many areas. So you follow the same process. I did tweak the prompt just a little bit because Haro went away. So it says, write a pitch for this journalist query for me in my voice, paste the pitch here, and then talk about my own personal anecdotes and experiences and viewpoints. And then after you submit the pitch, that's great. Whether you hear back from the journalist or not, just forget about it. Come back and write the article anyway and get it published out there in different sources. This is the prompt you're going to follow up with in the same chat window. Great. Now act as an expert copywriter. Write the full article for this query, being sure to use my voice and writing style, and imagine that your article will appear in popular business publications. So this is key, and I want to point out to people that I'm speaking to ChatGPT like it's a human. I'm telling ChatGPT to imagine that your article will appear in popular business publications. I'm telling it to act as an expert copywriter. All of this greatly influences the output that ChatGPT will give you. So this was the example. It came back with the article about the AI. That was the example of that full article for the query, scaling your business with AI, how we achieved daily content in 15 minutes. And then get this, I told you, you run it through. I took that same output, I copied it, that article, I pasted it in an AI checker, and it came back as 100% human generated content.
Wow.
Even though ChatGPT wrote this for me.
So is that just because of all the stuff you had trained it on, or is there anything else you do to ensure that it writes in a way that doesn't get flagged?
Right. Because of the content I trained it on in my custom settings, where it's trained on how I speak in detail. It's also trained on my personal background, my personal experiences, my goals and dreams and desires. Those are in my custom instructions. And then in the prompt itself, remember, I told it my own personal stories and experiences and my own business expertise, like real world stuff that I did that no one else can duplicate because I actually did it.
Right.
So
okay. So
all
that
of that.
uniqueness, the specificity of the sort of story background also kind of helps with the fact that it's probably not written by AI, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Cool. So it takes all of that, synthesizes it together, makes it sound amazing because that's what AI does, and it passes the AI checker. Cool. And then on top of that, you need to run it through a plagiarism checker. So I use plagiarismdetector.net, which is free. And it told me that this article was 92% unique and only 8% plagiarized, which is actually great because if you think about the fact that ChatGPT gets all of its information from history and the internet,
Right.
there's a high chance that you may be plagiarizing someone else without intending to.
Right.
So this tool tells you exactly which areas of your article were plagiarized so that you can change the wording on those and not be plagiarizing anyone.
Very cool.
And then you can do the same thing on featured.com, and that one's just kind of a question answer thing, but you just put in the search term and like Cairo comes up. Then if you really want to push it out even further, once you have these articles, go to brandpush.co, and that's where you can, this does cost money, but this is where you can get published on more major news sites like Fox and Yahoo News and things like that.
Oh.
So because the key is to get exposure everywhere, because that is the new name of the game when it comes to content marketing. So that's about it. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but that is how you really scale leveraging ChatGPT and customizing ChatGPT.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So I do want to ask you, a somewhat philosophical question to sort of follow up on that. I mean, is there is there a line, right? So like obviously you can have AI, do all these things for you in your voice. Nobody even knows the difference. I mean, where do you still feel like there is a part within your business where it's important that you're the one who actually wrote or said something, or does it kind of blend all together, or just what are your thoughts on that?
When you like from an ethical standpoint?
Ethical, sure, but also just from a impact. Like, is there ever a point where people are like, "Wait, you didn't write this?" Like that kind of thing happen, or what do you think on that?
Well, you can always inject, like go take the output and then actually go in there and edit it and put in
Sure.
your own words and so forth, which you'll need to do from time to time. Or you may also need to go back to your custom instructions and beef those up a little bit more, because at the end of the day, no matter how you get to the content, it needs to be authentic.
Right.
It needs to be in your voice. That's very, very important for many reasons. But let's look at I often get this question in my workshops. Like people will say, this feels like cheating.
Sure.
and I ask people this. I say, hey, look, let me ask you a question. What is 2,550,000 divided by 23?
You're gonna get your calculator out.
Yeah,
Right.
the first thing you're going to do is reach for
Right.
your calculator, right? Is that cheating? No. It's using the tools that are at your fingertips. In fact, we all know how to do long division. We learned how to do it in like the 5th grade, right?
Well, sure.
But why wouldn't you pull out a piece of paper and start writing down the answer and figuring that out? It wouldn't make sense. I would think you're weird if you did that.
Right.
I wouldn't think it was cheating. So
Sure.
the same thing is happening with AI. AI is just a new tool. The calculator is really just invented like around 1960. It's really relatively young, but you see how quickly it's been adopted, and that's our first go-to is to use a calculator. Well, the same thing is going to happen with AI, and people are going to think you're strange if you're not leveraging AI to produce content to help you save time. That's going to happen faster than we realize.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It was interesting, coming back to what you're saying about, the fact that showing up in the AI search results is about basically training the AI that you're the expert, right? And you do that by just sort of being ever present on the internet. So is there any, in that regard, like have you found that there's any specific places where it's more important to show up, in terms of the content you're putting out, or is it more about just having a presence on as many different sites and search results as possible? Or what do you think's the biggest impact there?
Well, you want to go with a mix of quantity and quality.
Okay.
Yes, you need to be as many places as possible, but also the bigger websites that you're featured on, especially if they give you a link back to your website, that's going to boost your SEO and boost your visibility and your presence. So you want to go for a mixture of both, which is why I showed the free resources, because a lot of those are going to be smaller players like people who are just publishing a blog. We don't know how big that blog is going to be necessarily, but I've appeared on a news website based in Australia talking about AI. So
Nice.
You never know how big these things can be and the exposure that they can contribute. But if you really want to then go after some of the bigger names, that's why I showed that brand push company, because then that you can pay to play and get access on some of the more well-known established websites.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, good to know. Well, this has been fascinating, Ethan. I really appreciate you sharing it with us. I'm sure folks, want to go deeper. There's only so much we can cover in an interview. So I think you mentioned there's a course that you offer. I mean, how do people get more in touch with you or
Yeah.
take advantage of your offers there?
Yeah, just go to my website, ethanking.com. It's just my name, ethanking.com. And I have resources to my book, ChatGPT to Double Your Business in 90 Days. And you can get it on Amazon too. But if you get it from my website, you actually get free updates every time I update the book, which, as you can imagine, is very often because AI is always changing.
Yeah,
So those
I
just
know.
automatically pop in your inbox. And then I have links to my courses on there where I go in depth and walk you through this whole process. Lots of AI courses on there and personal development, all kinds of things.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, if you're watching or listening to this, definitely go check that out because I'm sure there's a lot more to learn. Even just what we got from today was really insightful and awesome. So, Ethan, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me and teaching me this about AI. And well, I know we had a couple other things we didn't have time for today, so we'll have to have you come back on here soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Nick. Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you. So for those of you watching, thanks for tuning in. This has been Teach Me AI. I'm your host, Nick Niehaus. Thanks for watching today. And hopefully we'll see you again on a future episode. We'll talk to you then.
You're watching Teach Me AI with host Nick Niehaus.